the lives and health of all Gazans. To know how the health services is providing Gaza, there are four main players: the health ministry and the UNRWA, the NGOs and the private sectors. But we are going to speak about the health ministry in this presentation because they are providing more than 90% of the health services in Gaza Strip, and they possess most of the hospitals in Gaza. So in Gaza Strip there are 38 hospitals. 15 of them are operated by the Ministry of Health, but these 15 hospitals possesses 77% of the bed capacity in Gaza. Regarding the manpower in the Gaza Strip, there are more than 16,000 health workers. The bed capacity is over than 3,400 beds, which considered there are 15.5 beds for every 10,000 population, which is very low number regarding the global numbers, which is 44.4. As you can see, this is a map of Gaza Strip. This line, the white line, separates the northern area from the middle and southern area. As you can see, the population density was concentrated in the northern area, which give us an idea of why the Israeli occupation forces targeted the northern area and forced the people to evacuate the northern area to the middle and southern area. As you can see, most of the hospitals were located in the northern areas, and the density in the northern areas were 1.1 million people. The total population of Gaza was 2.3, so half of them were only in the northern area. These are the hospitals. We have Al-Shifa Medical Complex, Nasser Medical Complex, and European Hospital. Possesses more than 50% of the total bed capacity in the whole Gaza Strip. These are some of the challenges before the war. As we said, the situation wasn't great. There was the Israeli blockade, which prevented getting medical supplies and other disposables from outside Gaza. There were a shortage of medicines, the power outage and fuel shortage. There was a very shortage in the medical equipment and low training opportunities for the doctors inside Gaza Strip. And also there was a movement restrictions over the patients. Some of the treatment services are not available in Gaza Strip. They had to go outside Gaza, but it was very difficult to go outside from Gaza. It was like a big prison. That situation wasn't great, but it is considered ideal for the situation right now during the war. It's as all of you know that it is a genocidal war. They crossed all the lines. The health sector was one of the targets of the Israeli occupation forces in this time. So we have, as you can see, I tried to change these numbers every time because when I was preparing this presentation, because every day there are great amount of people being died by the occupation forces. As you may know, just yesterday more than 100 persons were bombed with one strike and lost their lives in a school. So we have more than 40,000 martyrs and more than 91,000 injured people. This is how it looks like. All of this compose a great and difficult pressure over the health sector that already inadequate. Regarding the manpower in the health sector, we have more than 5,000. This number has greatly increased in the last few days, and there are more than 700 doctors and nurses and other health workers died in this war, more than 600 injured people, and there are 310 detainees. 130 ambulances has been destroyed, out of the 38 hospitals we spoke about, 32 of them was either partially or totally destroyed. As we saw before, the population density was concentrated in the northern area due to the evacuation orders by the Israeli forces. They had to leave all their homes to the center and the Al-Mawasi area, which was considered as a safe zone by the Israeli forces, Israeli occupation forces. But by doing that, they had to leave all the places that had much more health services. As you can see, these hospitals we showed before, most of them, of course, has been destroyed. As we said, 32 hospitals has been destroyed. And all of the population went to the middle area, which has low capacity of health services. These hospitals with the white color has been restarted to be partially operated by the Ministry of Health, but which is Al-Shifa Hospital and Al-Nasir, Al-Aqsa Bartres, and Kamal Adwan and Indonesian hospitals. They are partially operating right now. Together with other, total 13 hospital has been restarted. But saying a restarted hospital doesn't mean it's fully functional, it's partially functional. As you can see, for example, Al-Shifa Medical Complex, that was a picture of Al-Shifa before the war, and it has been destroyed by the Israeli forces, and now it has been restarted by the Ministry of Health, but it looks like that now, and by this way it's operational. It's partially operating, of course, but that's what I wanted to show you. What is the meaning of partially operating? There are more challenges, of course, over the health sector. The Israeli forces has, in this war, crossed all the lines and targeted the health facilities and the health workers, as you know. Actually, the Palestinian doctors confronted this situation with resilience and with sacrifices. They sacrificed their homes, they sacrificed their families, and they didn't accept the evacuation orders without their patients. They stayed with their patients up to the last moment. And the Ministry of Health had to, of course, to relocate the medical staff due to the destroyed hospitals. And they tried to restart the major hospitals, as we mentioned before, Al-Shifa and Indonesia, and also Shuhada Al-Aqsa hospital. There are shortage of ambulances, and the people tried to use their carts due to the shortage of fuel. They didn't find any kind of vehicles to transfer the patients, so they used their cars, and even there were no horses. They used themselves to transfer the patients and the injured and the murderers. There is a great situation right now, a big problem regarding the communicable and infectious disease. As you know, 1.7 million cases has been diagnosed by infectious diseases. There are high rates of hepatitis A, and 67% of the water and sanitation system has been destroyed in this war, together with the presence of the bodies under the rubble and the accumulated waste all over the strip. All these factors cause that problem regarding the infectious diseases. Also, regarding the vaccination, we have also another problem, because the last time that vaccination were able to enter Gaza from Rafah crossing was in last December, and there is a great obstacles regarding the transferring of the vaccines around the Gaza Strip. Also, in last 2 weeks, the Minister of Health and the UNICEF have discovered vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2 in Deir al-Balah and Khan Yunis sources. They are trying to deliver 1 million shots, but the war has to stop to be able to do so. As in gift of the givers, our humanitarian response focused Of course, I will speak only about health response from Gift of the Giver, because we don't have time to mention all our efforts. But I want to say that the health workers in Gaza Strip are facing great dangers. Our team leader has lost his life. Dr. Ahmed was murdered in the beginning of the war, and all of our teams are frustrated from the repeated evacuation and instability overall the Gaza Strip. But they insist to continue, and they didn't leave their lands, and they have a commitment to deliver aid to their communities. We also focused in our humanitarian response regarding the health sector into the three main topics. Regarding the manpower, we made some project regarding the cash assistance to the health workers. We also made a programs for integrating soon-to-be graduating medical students into the health sector to alleviate the shortage of staff problem. We also supporting international medical missions that go from Rafah crossing, and after the closing of the crossing, we are sending them from Jordan. Regarding the facilities, we supported the restarted hospitals. We provided them with medicines, medical supplies, and fuel. And also, a few weeks ago, we were able, alhamdulillah, to send some medicines from the Israeli side inside Gaza. We're also preparing mobile clinics and medical points in the far situated areas, together with providing ambulances with fuel and maintenance. Regarding the services and treatment, there are more than 25,000 patients and injured needs to go outside Gaza to get treatment services that are not available inside Gaza. Only more than 4,000 of them were able to go outside the Gaza Strip. We are providing them assistance regarding medical consultations, treatment funding, and living support. Also, we, as you know, the medical students, we were able, alhamdulillah, to get them to get study opportunities and education opportunities here in South Africa. And also in next January, we are going to get another students, inshallah. Also, we are starting a new psychosocial support program to confront the situations, the trauma that will be available for the Gazans during war and after war. Of course, during the war we cannot start any program, but we are starting this program with the people who were managed to go outside from Gaza. That's what we have done. I hope I didn't exceed my time, and thanks a lot.
Thank you for taking your time, Ahmed. Professor Musa Nordin is an honorary South African. That's the most important thing for me to say about him. He's also, when he's not doing anything for Palestine, he's also a professor of pediatrics. His enthusiasm is infectious, so I need to say nothing more. Musa.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا، الصلاة والسلام على قائد الأمة وإمام المجاهدين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم كثيرا، ونشهد أنه قد بلغ رسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وجهاد في الله حق جهاده. جزاك الله خير Faisal, distinguished guests, brothers and sisters. I was here in 2003. I've been here for all the three FIMA conferences, and I was last in Durban in November last year, and Shakira and Dr. Khan looked after me like family. So South Africa is kind of my second home lah. Yeah, and it's always a holiday for me, alhamdulillah, and it's very chilling. Yeah, and it's really great fun, just like being in Pakistan. So this is my brief look at the history, very quickly, why we must be part of this intifada. Yeah. Thirdly, talk about 7 October last year and the impact it's had on our children's lives and their health. Quickly look at the media misinformation, and then the role of FIMA, the role of FIMA's affiliate, FIMA Palestine Malaysia, and then the little things that we do, FIMA, FIMA Palestine Malaysia, and then looking to the future, inshallah. It did not begin in October. This is the catastrophe since 1948. The Palestinians have been deprived, dispossessed. Yeah, they have been deprived of their freedom, of justice, and their dignity. This is the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which mandates that each and every one of us must be part of the intifada. Hadith from Imam Ahmed and Tabarani, who says that they will not give up with the struggle in and around Baitul Maqdis, and we must choose to be part of this intifada, this jihad. And of course, our fathers in South Africa, Desmond Tutu, the late Desmond Tutu, said that our silence means we are complicit with this catastrophe. And Mandiba, who said that the world will never be free until Palestine is free. This is the worst moral crisis in this post-modern world. And of course, the Rabbi, Abraham Heschel, who said, few are guilty, but we are all responsible. This is a genocide, a conspiracy of the whole of the world against Palestine. Not just Zionist Israel, but United States, European Union, Britain, and the Arab world against our brothers in Palestine. What has been described as a terrorist is our freedom fighters, inshallah. Yeah? To regain their homeland, their freedom, justice, their dignity. And look at the air force of our brothers and sisters versus the air force that is being paid for by American dollars, British pounds, and European monies, right? This is the misinformation that is screaming at us in our TV screens, right? The beheaded children, our children, mangled bodies, like what happened just recently. And look at the BBC, the CNN, the Zionist multimedia against the Muslims. And the fake news. They have been exposed, right, with their misinformation, disinformation, with regards to beheaded children, raped women, yeah? And this is the tragedy our children are facing today. This is a conservative figure, yeah? This is a war on our children. And if you were to look at the data, the world from 2019 to 2022, 4 years, 12,000 killed. But up until February, 12,300 of our children have been decimated. It's climbing. It's now 15,000. This is not a number. They have a name, they have a father, they have a mother, they have a brother, they have a sister. They are our children. And our children are standing up to it. This is my granddaughter. Every week she's with the mother in front of 10 Downing Street or in the streets of London. Outraged at the genocide against our children. This is Ayesha. And that's an underestimate, because this was published in the Lancet. If it is 40,000, right? And for every one, 4 or 5 are in the rubble. So the real estimate is the Gaza toll could exceed 186,000. And this is us, From Palestine, Malaysia. We began in 2008. Yeah, and our mission is basically 3: advocacy for Palestine, rehabilitate the educational and health infrastructure, and self-sustainability, financial independency. Yeah. So you may know Dr. Mahathir. Yeah. You may know George Galloway. Yeah. They have been with us since our inception, and these are the heroes. I'm just speaking on their behalf. Azra from Singapore, Joe Bucks, an obstetrician, Noraini, Mini, Kak Wan. Kak Wan is the wife of the current Prime Minister of Malaysia, Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim. Next to him is Miku Pellet, our Mujahid from America. And then Sister Mill, Alia, I know every one of them. Rosini, and the last one is American, Azhar. These are the few from amongst us in BPM. And I and all of us are very, very privileged to be associated with them. Next to my left is my son, Raid Qadbura, Shahid. Next to him, Miku Pellet. Next to Hirtani. Hirtani is an English prolific professor, is currently in Qatar with his children. And next to him is Yusuf. He's based in Turkey. They are all part of us. And this is my executive committee. And we have to be professional. We have to be registered. We're part of the registrar of societies in Malaysia. And we are determined, if not in our lifetime, to make sure that Al-Marhum Ismail Haniah will see from the heavens the liberation of Palestine, inshallah. This was in 2014 when I made my third trip to Palestine, to Gaza. And for every group that works for Palestine, we welcome them to Malaysia, and we are part of Al-Quds, right? To my left is Tuan Haji Idrus. To my right is my secretary. That is the brother from Al-Quds. Right, there you are. Idrus has been to Palestine. These are my 2 angels. They're with Dr. Peter. He's an Australian Jew, right? And again, my 2 angels with my son in Palestine, Hani, Dr. Hani Suraya. He does all the projects with our 20 brothers and sisters there. Alright? My daughter is also part of the executive committee. She was there to audit the projects. My 2 sons there, right? And they're with the minister, 2 ministers of health in Malaysia. So these are young boys and girls who pitch at the highest level because we train them to do the right thing, inshallah. And of course, Hani, yeah, Suraya. He is the one that's looking after all our projects in Malaysia, and of course, he enjoys the king of the fruits, durian. And my son, who does all of my online stuff like this, And of course, this is Hani's favorite spot in the Tower of Kuala Lumpur. Again, this lot of Viva Palestina, Malaysia workers, and I am very privileged again to be beside two shuhada. Rifat, Dr. Professor Rifat Almarhum, and next to him is Dr. Almarhum Fathi. He's my son. He came in 2010. He didn't have a scholarship. We funded him, and then we made sure that the Sovereign Fund Ministry started the scholarship, and he was one of the first 3 recipients of the scholarship. Right? That's our funding from them since 2009 to 2021. Right? And this is right until today. So, our love for Palestine is not touch and go. You just sit and then you go. No, we've been with Palestine since 2008. And there you are. This is our account. We have to be very professional. We audit it. We raised about 8 million just in 2021, right? But importantly, look at our expenses. We are not as big as gift of the givers. Our expenses, 0.65% only for administration, and that's covered by the pockets of our supporters. So nothing is taken from the funds that is given by our donors, right? It all goes to Palestine. And this is us. 50,000 was in Kuala Lumpur. This is in 2014. Yeah? That we stand with the children of Gaza. 2014. 50,000. This is our microcredit, 80% success rate, but now probably all of them have been bombed. My daughter was there to audit that farming. Yeah? We'll show you this lady. She's been there with us since 2010. This is our medical projects. This is our infrastructure, rebuilding the homes, the heating, the warm clothes. Agricultural projects, that's in West Bank, yeah? This is educational. Gaza has the highest proportion of PhDs, masters for the population per capita. Why? Because we help them with it, and all of you do similarly. For the first 3 recipients of the Khazanah National Scholarship is an Ivy League scholarship, yeah? 2 of them are Shaheed. The third one in the middle is the orthopedic surgeon. PTSD. Professor Hafeez would talk, this is even worse than PTSD. Savage. Yeah? That's how we try and rehabilitate their psyche, their hearts, their emotions. Yeah? And making ourselves present is important. We don't do things in silos or in silence. The Palestinian cause must be right there in the mainstream media. And you fail if you do not teach your young doctors, your young interns, your young children, your youth, your adolescents about the Palestinian cause. There you are, books. Puan Sri Norma, she's written 3 books at least. Yeah, launched by Erdogan, launched by Tun Mahathir. This is when I did the trip, the 1-month trip to Gaza with 300 vehicles. Yeah, I wrote my diary. That's my daughter's book, Remember Us. Yeah, and these are all our very excellent donors, and this is 7 October 2023. This was our response. The basic necessities of our children: food, shelter, warmth, medical care. Making sure that they get nutritious food. Right? Chickens, hot meals, eggs, no matter how much they cost. Look at the faces of our children. This is the hot meals. Despite despite the adversity. The smile is so precious. Giving them warmth, shelter, a roof over their heads, making sure the hygiene is protected as best as we possibly can. Water, if the children are not killed by the bombs, 2,000-pound bombs, if they are not killed by the snipers, right? Or they are forcibly starved, water will kill them. Whether it's polio, whether it's salmonella, whether it's cholera. So make sure that they have safe, clean drinking water. Look after their health. Medical points. Some cheer to them. 100 to 50 to 100 US dollars. Right? This is cash for kids in Jabalia. Cookies for them. Children will be children. Cookies, candies. Yeah? First day of Eid, cookies, 100 packs. Can we play this, please?
Assalamu alaikum, my brothers and my sisters in Malaysia and everywhere. Children in North Gaza live in difficult physical conditions. So today, we will distribute toys, hot meals, and sweets to our children in North Gaza to alleviate the effects of this war. We want to thank Salute Viva Palestine and Ayesha for your support, our children in North Gaza. Barakallah fikum, jazakumullah kulla khair.
Now engaging the kids, letters to Gaza, we wrote letters, we love you Palestine. Yeah, oh Allah, please make the Palestinians at ease. These are all from the children in Malaysia. More letters. They tried to bury us, but they did not know we were the seeds. This is my wife. She collected all the letters, inshallah. And then they've received the letters. Right? And inshallah, we will put up all these letters in our Islamic Museum in Kuala Lumpur. Play the slide, please.
We are preparing ourselves in order to help and support the affected and needy family here in Gaza who are affected from this new aggression.
This is our home, the land of our love and hope. Set it free to break the fight, to end this pain. We're all the same. We long for your love and kindness, Palestine. We have the right to live.
إن القصف لا يخيفنا فالريش قد تسقط عن أجنحة الرسول والعطش الطويل لا يخيفنا فالماء تبقى دائما في باطن الصخور هزمتم الجيوش إلا أنكم ولن تهزموا غزة.
Good, inshallah. So, this is what the future, inshallah, right? UN blacklists Israel for killing, maiming, torturing, and harming children. Now they join the child killers. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram. We have to work at the international level, and your ministers, countries will help us, inshallah. And look at the students in America helping the cause. The whole of the United States, of Europe, is with us, inshallah. And we have to collaborate with Amnesty International and other international organizations. This is for the future of Palestine. Boycott the genocide. This is what we're doing, even they were at the Olympics. And collaborate with nations, Palestine, Brunei, Singapore, Malaysia, BDS. The sister will talk about it after this, yeah? And inshallah, always make the dua for Palestine. Allahumma munzil al-kitab sari al-hisab, ihzim al-ahzab, Allah zilhum wa zanzilhum. Oh Allah, revealer of the book, swift and reckoning, defeat the Confederates, oh Allah, defeat them and From Palestine. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
I know Musa could have gone on for another hour and we still would not have been bored, but we are really, really pressed for time. Please see this through. I know some of you want to, I see some messages about checkout, etc. Inshallah, the bags and luggage has been sorted out, and I'm sure your checkout will get taken care of. And again, now that the hall is full, to remind the IMA members, the AGM follows this, so we really would like to see you there. Royalty of FIMA is Professor Hafeez Rahman. He's an ophthalmologist, is Dean of Health Sciences at Peshawar Medical College. He's President of Al Khidmat. As an ophthalmologist, I'm in awe of the thousands of surgeries they do throughout Africa. We don't have time to go through all of them, but I think he's going to speak about what Al Khidmat is doing in Palestine.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulil nabiyil kareem. I am really privileged and honored to be the part of this August meeting, and I am thankful to the organizers for inviting me and providing a chance to be here today. I am thankful to the previous speakers who made my task easy, because a lot of is already said which I wanted to say. Anyhow, I will try not to repeat those things. And I am thankful to Brother Musa saying that PTSD, I believe that it is a wrong nomenclature for the Palestinians. PTSD means trauma for once or for a month or so, but for the Palestinians, we see that trauma is for the decades, and now it is inherited in their genes. Their generations are suffering the trauma, so we have to coin a new term for such type of syndrome. What happens to the people who are suffering these atrocities for the last few generations. Thank to Brother Musa once again, who gave us some history. I would like to say that if we ignore history, we cannot understand the situation. Look at this slide. This tells you that this area, the Palestine, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, which constitute about 313,000 square kilometers with the population, was the Bilad Sham, one province of Islamic State of Medina. One province only. The second province was Egypt. And out of that whole province, this is Palestine. I don't say this is Israel. 28,000 square kilometers, and out of that Palestine, this Gaza Strip is only 365 square kilometers. So what happened in the history? You know the Jang-e-Yarmouk in 636 AD, then Fatah al-Quds in 637 or 638 by Khalid bin Walid radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, under the leadership of Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah, who was the governor of that province, in the regime of second Khalifa, Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And when Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala came to this area, Jerusalem, in 638, on the invitation of the Christian rulers, there was a accord that all the worship places of the non-Muslim will be preserved, and there will be no killing, no revenge at all, and there was no bloodshed at all. And the whole area was conquered by the Muslims and was ruled by them from 638 to 1922, around 1285 years. Only a small period in this time where the Crusaders came, and unfortunately there was a lot of bloodshed at that time. Then comes the Khilafat Osmania, and they ruled from 1517 to 1922, 405 years. And look at these figures. When the Khilafat Osmania took over this province, there was only 5,000 Jews, and there were 300,000 Muslims in Palestine, and only 5,000 Jews. So only 1.7% Jews were there at that time. Then comes Theodor Herzl. He was born in Hungary in 1860, shifted to Austria in 1896, and gave a concept of Jewish state, and he established a World Zionist Congress. He became the president, founding president of this Congress in 1897. And he proposed that all of the Jews from the different parts of the world should shift to one place and a Jewish state should be formed. So they proposed few places. The Palestine was not the first. It was Argentina, Cyprus, Sinai Desert, and ultimately they decided that we will establish Jewish state in the area of Palestine. And the Jews started migrating to this area at that time, I mean 1897. This Theodor Herzl died in 1904 at the age of 45 years and was buried in Austria. And when he died, at that time, the population of Jews in Palestine rose up to 60,000, from 5,000 to 60,000, and the Muslim from 300,000 to 600,000. Now the population of Jews in Palestine was 10% in 1904 at the time of death of this Theodor Herzl. He was buried in Austria, but later on when the Israel was formed in 1948, his remains were taken out from Austria and he was reburied in a mountain in front of Quds and in 1949, and that mountain is now known as Mountain Herzl. So now the First World War. During this World War, Khilafat Osmania and Germany was fighting with 27 allied forces. And in that time, in 1916, there was a secret treaty known as Sykes-Picot. These were the two names from UK and France. And under the cover of Russia, they decided that one Khilafat Osmania will broke. When it is defeated, we will take over following areas. This is yours, this is mine, like that. In 1917, Balfour Declaration came, public statement by British government announcing its supports for establishing national home for the Jewish people. So, fall of Khilafat Osmania. In 1922, British rule came to Palestine and they ruled that area from 22 to 48. And there was a huge influx of Jews to Palestine. So during the 26 years of British rule, they had to leave that area, but by that moment, 600,000 Jews were there in Palestine against the 100,000 Muslims in Palestine. So 32% of Jews at the time of creation of Israel. So 1.7% in 1517, 10% in 1904, and now in 1948 they are 32%. But most of the land was occupied by the Muslims. The Jews were just immigrants, so they were not having the land. they had only 6% of land in Palestine in 1948, and the Muslims were having 94% of the land. Second World War happened, you know all that, and evacuation of the colonies started, and then comes the role of United Nations. We must know that. United Nations was formed in 1945, and they brought a deed 181 that there should be two states. Knowing this fact, they announced that the Palestinian state will have 45% land and state of Israel will have 55% land. Please remember, this was the time when the Britishers left India and the Pakistan and India were created in 1947, and they sow a seed of Kashmir issue right at that time. So these are the twin issues, Kashmir and Palestine, started by Britishers, Americans, and United Nations, right at the same time. So in 1948, this was the Aqaba. The Britishers left. In the 1 year of catastrophe, 700,000 Palestinians forcibly pushed out, and the 78% of land was grabbed by Israel. They were promised for 55%, they grabbed 78%. So 22% was left for Palestine in the form of West Bank and Gaza after there were two wars. And then now, at the moment, you know that West Gaza has 6,000 square kilometers, and out of that, those 6,000 square kilometers, around 82% of the land is now occupied by the Israeli settlers. So this is the situation. Practically now, 6% of land is with Palestinians against 94% in 1948. The whole is reversed now. At that time, 94% is Muslims, and now around 94% is with Israel. So this is the geography. 41 kilometers of the Gaza is with the Mediterranean Sea, 12.5 kilometers with Egypt, and 59 kilometers with Israel, and only 365 square kilometers of the land. And Brother Ahmed Fathi told you the situation at the time of 7th October. It was fully controlled by the Israel, and even the electric supply and the water was coming from Israel. Nobody can leave Gaza by road or by sea or by air without the permission of Israel. And they were living in the open air prison at that time. And there are a lot of details already given by Brother Ahmed Fathi. I will not repeat, but let me tell you that they say there are 40,000 martyrs and around 12,000 are under the rebel. They don't count those 12,000 in the martyrs. They say they mafqood. They are missing person. And we all know what does it mean by missing person when they are under the rubble for the last few months. But just imagine the people sitting in front of their demolished houses in some tents and looking at the demolished building of their house and thinking that somebody will come and remove the rubble and bring out our beloved ones. They might be alive. So that's why they are not saying they are martyrs. I was working with a lady from Gaza in Cairo, and she spent 4 days with me on Eid al-Adha. We are going to the houses of the families of the Gazan people. And at the end, I inquired, what about your family? She said that my brother is martyred and the wife of my brother is under the rebel. And all of my family is in the tents for the last 8 months. But she was working with me for the others. So I skip these details. You know all that. But remember, out of the thousands of amputations, they say more than 1,000 amputations of the children were done without anesthesia. And the 17,000 deliveries were done during this period. Newborns came. And the many of them went through cesarean section without anesthesia. Just imagine. The doctor is saying, recite Quran and I will do the surgery. And remember that more than 15,000 people with the wounds are still in Gaza. They are pus in their wounds. They can't walk. They should be evacuated immediately to tertiary care hospitals, but they are not allowed. Dear brothers and sisters, there are not many things to say, but I quickly go through some of the activities which are done by FIMA and Al-Khidmat. Al-Khidmat is a part of FIMA. So whatever Al-Khidmat is doing means FIMA is doing. So what we did, right on the 7th of October in the evening, we conducted a meeting of the leadership of Al-Khidmat Foundation, and we thought that this is the most difficult challenge to work for Gaza. Nobody can go in and nobody can come out of that. So what we did, that we started working in Gaza through various NGOs which were inside Gaza, and we have connection with them. We immediately transferred money to them and they started working on our behalf. Then we immediately established an office in Cairo and took a warehouse on rent, a big warehouse for relief items. So we started purchasing items within Cairo, and with the help of Red Crescent of Egypt and certain other NGOs of Gaza, we started sending the trucks through Gaza, Rafah border. On the same time, we negotiated with the government of Pakistan and the National Disaster Management Authority of Pakistan, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they agreed and they allowed us to send air cargo, government to government. So we were lucky enough that very immediately we started this sending these air cargos. We sent 6 chartered air cargos from Pakistan to Al Arish. They were received by our ambassador of Pakistan there and the Red Crescent of Egypt, and they were transferred to the trucks and was shifted to Gaza through Rafah border. This continued, but we thought this is not enough, so we started sending our relief items by sea, by ships. So we sent 2 ships to Ismailia, Port Said, and then we decided to send to Jordan also. So 1 ship is now on the way to Aqaba. So, and this we actually did, that we knew that sometime the border of Rafah may be closed. So we should explore other routes. So we established an office in Jordan also. Now we are working through. For Turkey, we are very pleased to tell you that we use this platform and connected various NGOs to work in Gaza, and also we actually negotiated for a field hospital in Ankara, which is ready, but we don't have the permission to shift it, and whenever we are permitted, we'll shift it. So, in addition to sending various relief items, which is in thousands of tons of relief goods, which were including thousands of tents and other items, and edible items, we started giving scholarships to Palestinian students in Pakistan. There were 185 students, they were already studying in Pakistan, belongs to Palestine. Now their families were in trouble. We started paying them the scholarships. Okay, well, 10 minutes too much, inshallah. So we started giving scholarships to the Palestinian students in Pakistan. Then later on, we did an MOU with the university and the government of Pakistan and the Palestinian ambassador that we will allow more students from Palestine to come to Pakistan and study. And this, the university actually waived off all the fees, Rifa University, and the Al-Khidmat pledged to give them all the living expenses and the scholarship. Similarly, later on, some of the medical students went to Turkey, and I personally went there and met those students, and we started giving them scholarship, $300 per month, and still we are continuing. All the medical students who are studying in Turkey, doing their final year or fifth year studies, they are provided scholarships from Al-Khidma, or you can say from FIMA. There are hundreds of orphans living in Cairo because more than 100,000 Gazans migrated to Cairo, Ismailia, and Al Arish area. So we established an office, and we are now providing help to these people, Gazan Family Support Program within Egypt. So we are taking care of those people, and we are taking care of orphans who are living in Cairo. And also we started providing them various buildings for stay. Al-Khidmat hired few buildings and gave them to the Gazan families, and we are giving them the food support, etc. Of course, we are doing a lot in Gaza also. These are various NGOs, our partners in Gaza. So I have given you the details. And at the eve of this Eid al-Adha, we slaughtered more than 1,700 cows and more than 1,000 goats in Pakistan for Palestine. And now this meat is processed, cooked, and will be packed in tins, and it will be ready for eating and will be sent gradually over the next months to Gaza. Similarly, we slaughtered 200 cows in Egypt and supplied the meat to the Gazan families. We slaughtered 50 goats in Gaza and 25 goats in Quds and 25 goats in Lebanon. This is the packing done in Pakistan, and these are the relief items ready for transportation. This was the first plane, 105 tons, 737 Boeing chartered plane was sent. The foreign minister of Pakistan, the ambassador of Palestine in Pakistan, and myself were there to send it off, and this continued for 6 times. This was a plane provided to us by Pakistan Army. Then we started sending through sea. So this is on the seaport of Karachi. Again, the ambassador of Palestine is there. And we are doing relief operations in Egypt. So very quickly, I will just show you the pictures. Remember now, 38 big trucks of our relief items are stuck in front of the Rafah at the moment. And more than 40 trucks are lying in a warehouse in Egypt and waiting for the opening of Rafah border. But we started the other route from Aqaba to Jordan and from the West Bank to Karim Shalom. These are the ambulances which we sent. These are the various trucks which we sent off from Ismailia. We celebrated both Eids. Myself went to Cairo and we celebrated Eid with the Gazan families. They were very happy for this gesture. These are the few pictures of those Eid days. We distributed meat to their families. We sent a plane to Jordan and 25 tons of emergency medicine were dropped to Gaza with the help of Jordanian authorities. Airdrop. These are the various activities. We have school in tanks in Gaza. We are providing baby meals. We are providing vegetables and fruits on daily basis, like, clean drinking water and cooked food to the families. It is continuous process going on. These are the various activities in the Gaza. These are few videos, but I will skip. Even the fun. I'm closing. Cooked meat, food. So these are few details. Then for rebuilding of Gaza, we are in line with the various authorities and we pledged that we will rebuild a hospital, a residential tower, and 5 schools, and so on. So far, only 16.5 million US dollars relief goods only. The other activities are separate. Just in the last, this is the picture I want to show. This is giving a lot of message. There's a car with a flag at the back, Free Palestine, but the car is standing in front of McDonald's. So the family is inside the McDonald's. There's a poet, Allama Iqbal, the people who can understand few words of Urdu, I narrate for them. इश्क कातिल से भी मकतूल से हमदर्दी भी, ये बता किससे मोहब्बत की जजा मांगेगा, सजदा खालिक को भी इब्लीस से याराना भी, बता हश्र में किससे अकीदत का सिला मांगेगा. Just a translation of this. Love for the killer and sympathy for the killed. Tell me, which love will you seek a reward for? Prostration to the Creator and friendship with the devil? On Judgment Day, which belief you will rely upon? So this is a great message for us. Okay, they are saying me to close, so thank you very much. Salam alaikum. Apologies, Professor.
Reminder, there is one Zoom talk from the Director of the Minister of Health in Gaza. The Zoom link will come on. He's live on now, so as soon as Saadiq and Ayesha are done, please don't leave. My other hat is also the chairperson of SAMNET, so advocacy is what we do as well. Alhamdulillah and mashallah, to give to the givers, to organizations through FIMA, and of course, we know we have a number of South African NGOs doing sterling work like many of the other countries. But what is neglected is how to stop an end to this madness. What we can do for that. Alhamdulillah, obviously donating, praying, dua goes without saying. But calling out Israel, embarrassing them, isolating them, all of us know how this worked in bringing an end. It wasn't a Olympic mine in Limpopo that brought an end to apartheid. It was the absolute isolation of the apartheid state. I don't want to take up more of Saadiq and Ayesha's time. They have extensive CVs. Alhamdulillah, Saadiq is a pulmonologist, founder of Healthcare Workers for Palestine, and I would appeal to all of us as IMA members to get more involved. And inshallah, the IMA will work closer with Healthcare Workers for Palestine as well. Ayesha runs undergrad medical education at Wits, both of them highly qualified in their fields. So, Ayesha and Saadiq, bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, colleagues. Ayesha and I will be speaking today about the boycott, divestment, and sanction movements, some of the initiatives that healthcare workers for Palestine have launched in this field, and most importantly, I think, how you can get involved. I think the previous speakers and Dr. Suleiman have made good arguments about why this is necessary. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about what's going on in Palestine at the moment. I think the previous speakers and media and social media have covered it extensively over the last couple of months. But perhaps most importantly to note for the purpose of this talk is that last month the International Court of Justice declared that Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory is illegal and encouraged countries to take actions and sanctions against this. So while this might impose a duty on countries, morally, we as individuals and as organizations have the same responsibility. I just want to change tack a little bit before we get into the meat of the matter and speak a little bit about South Africa's own history under apartheid. So Africa was involved in the Commonwealth Medical Association, which was founded by Britain and a couple of other states in 1948. This fortunately led to some problems for South Africa. Initially, there was plans to hold a conference by the CMA in South Africa in 1951, but this had to be cancelled. One of the reasons for this was South Africa's apartheid policies. At the time, the Indian Medical Association was part of the CMA, but the South African Medical Association couldn't provide any assurances that the delegates would even be allowed into the country or that they would be treated with dignity in South Africa due to apartheid. In following years, in 1955, another conference was to be held in Toronto in Canada, and one of the themes for one of the sessions was medical care of native populations. I think the wording of the title of the session was problematic, but I guess it was a different time. So delegates from South Africa, Australia, and so forth had to describe how they were providing care to local populations and were forced to provide very highly sanitized accounts of what they were doing. In fact, South Africa avoided even speaking about how Indian people in South Africa were being treated medically to avoid upsetting delegates from other countries. As the years went by, the situation escalated. In South Africa, at the time, there were strikes about, and many of you may have been involved in it, but there were strikes because South African healthcare workers were being remunerated differently depending on their race. At the same time, international discourse about apartheid was escalating and the anti-apartheid movement was gaining traction. In fact, the Commonwealth Foundation, which supported an end of apartheid, told the Commonwealth Medical Association that South Africa couldn't be a part of the association if they wanted to continue receiving funding. But things really came to a head when a conference was held in Malaysia and Singapore in the 1970s. Several newly independent countries that had gained independence from Britain had become part of the Commonwealth Medical Association. And at this conference, Ghana and Tanzania proposed that South Africa, as well as Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe, should be expelled from the Commonwealth Medical Association because of their apartheid policies. And this obviously led to heated debate at the conference. Many countries, especially those that had become independent and joined the association, such as Ghana, India, and Tanzania, argued that South Africa should be expelled because of its policies, whereas other countries felt that they were opposed to it for various reasons, be it procedural, or thinking that they could do more good by having South Africa remain. There was a lot of debate, but ultimately South Africa was expelled following a vote. There was a lot of criticism afterwards in South African and British media. And also, several other countries were then able to join the Commonwealth Medical Association, who had previously avoided joining because of South Africa's presence. So what lessons can we take from this? Is this kind of academic boycott, or was this kind of academic boycott of South Africa effective? Well, it depends on what do you mean by effective. Did expelling South Africa from the Commonwealth Medical Association end apartheid? Well, I'd say no. But it wasn't this isolated event. This was just one thorn of many that occurred that put pressure on South Africa, isolated South Africa on the world stage, and helped lead to the end of apartheid. Another lesson is the importance of active citizenship. We need to be active, take part in various structures that exist, participate in votes, raise motions, and be involved in order to make these things happen. Countries that got involved in the CMA were able to expel South Africa. Countries that avoided joining, they didn't really have much influence. Ultimately, apartheid came to an end because of a couple of factors. Domestic uprising was a large part of this, but the international BDS movement also played a significant role. And it wasn't a single event that was a magic bullet, but it was sustained pressure over academic, cultural, economic, sporting, and other spheres that together helped end apartheid. This has many similarities to the current situation in Palestine, and in fact is the inspiration for the Palestinian BDS movement. I'm going to hand over to Ayesha, who's going to introduce the Palestinian BDS movement and talk more about our Say No to TIVA campaign. Ayesha.
Thanks, Saadiq. I think for many of us, we may be at a point of despondency where you feel you've raised your voices, but what to do now? I think that, as Saadiq mentioned, it's never one specific thing that brings down a structure, and especially a structure as apparently pervasive as a Zionist entity. It happens at multiple levels, using multiple prompts, and what we're presenting to you today is the structure of boycotts, divestments, and sanctions. Now, the BDS movement in Palestine was taken from the BDS movement in South Africa. Minister Ronnie Kasdal tells us about the 4 pillars that brought down apartheid. And yes, it was dialogue. Interestingly, dialogue didn't just happen towards the end of apartheid, but in the beginning, before formalized apartheid began. There was mass mobilization, which we know about, and which many of you may have participated in. There's the armed resistance, but there was also international pressure. And a delegation of the ANC went to the UK and invested heavily in a very structured boycott, divestments, and sanctions movement. And in 2005, we had a grouping, a broad-based grouping of Palestinian civil society that came together. I think there were about maybe 170 civil society bodies. So, you know, they have buy-in from majority of the Palestinian population. And they came together and formed a BDS movement. And this was premised on our South African model. The crux of the BDS call, boycotts, divestments, and sanction, is to end occupation and colonization of Arab lands and dismantling the wall, recognizing the rights of Arab Palestinian citizens of Israel to full equality, and respecting the rights of Palestinian refugees to return to their home. Somehow this last point seems to be a sticking point in negotiations all around. Now, when we look at boycotts are marginalizing either product, people, organization, and to try to use your coercive power to get them to change tactics. And we know that we're living in a materialist society. So the power that we hold is the power of your dollar, the power of your rand, and withholding that is where your power comes from as a consumer. We're also looking at divestments. So this is where the American students got it right. They made a very direct link between companies that were investing in Israeli arms. So it wasn't just rhetoric, boycotts, divestments, sanctions. They did their homework, they made the link, and they called for divestment. Another way of doing divestment is for shareholders to actively buy shares in certain companies. I don't know if that's a strategy that's going to be employed in this case. And as an insider, you use that power to leverage decisions. And the final one is sanctions. And this is what we push for on the international level and through international organizations. So this diagram, which you'll find on the Palestinian or International BDS website, sort of reminds me of those WhatsApp messages that, that your parents are forwarding to you with that long list of boycotts, you know? And I mean, it is well intended, but what the BDS movement is hoping for is to select specific, well-researched targets and for all avenues to apply pressure in such a way making a tangible difference. So we have consumer boycotts, and this we're very familiar with. I'll talk a little bit about that. Divestment and exclusion, and I'm going to focus on the pressure targets, right? So let's take a look at that, and we're very familiar with a lot of these brands. The consumer boycott targets, look at the Puma one, for instance. And after the 7th of October and all the consequences, and it's official, you can find it. I see everyone taking photos. You can find it on the website, and you'll get more extensive information as to why these brands are being boycotted. So Puma is a sponsor of the Israeli Football Association, and through various lobbying groups, they actually, and the Israeli Football Association manages teams in the occupied Palestinian territories, in the illegal settlements. And through those pressure groupings, Puma then realized that they were on the wrong side of things for financial reasons. I don't know if these companies really do things out of moral reasons, but for financial reasons, they leaked a document to the press saying that they would drop the Israeli Football Association sponsorship. It remains to be seen whether they'll extend it, but the contract ends at the end of December this year. When we talk about divestments, we're largely looking at banks, at arms manufacturers. We're looking at large-scale financial investments. The pressure targets that we're going to focus on is Teva, and many of you are familiar with Teva. So Teva is an Israeli pharmaceutical company. Teva is the world's largest generic manufacturing company. Teva also rates in the top 20 of global pharmaceutical manufacturers. So largely, for all intents and purposes, they are big pharma. And they're tied to various scandals, as a lot of big pharma is. So price fixing, you know, those kind of scandals, but that's not why we're isolating Teva. The reason why we're isolating Teva is because a lot of their financial benefit comes from holding a captive, holding the Palestinians as a captive market. And I think there's a bit of a dark irony in this. When we talk of a captive market, we talk of a market where consumers are limited in their choices. I'm going to rush through that because Saadiq needs to come back. So consumers are limited in their choices. It's when we hold market monopoly. Teva has a literal physically captive market. And what we find is the local manufacturing pharmaceutical industry struggles because as we're trying to get aid through, we see how at various levels you're blocked. So in terms of raw materials for pharmaceuticals, they're blocking the local industry at various levels. Also, they have facilities in illegal settlements, and it's listed as a pressure target. So what can you do? And before speaking about this, I was thinking that pharmacists are actually the front line of this boycott. But in a discussion with Saadiq, what he mentioned was that it's not limited to that. As practitioners, we are able to extend this boycott. If you look at our table outside, Saadiq will tell you more about our organization, but if you look at our table, I have a little pamphlet about BDS, which I put in my practice, and it sparks a lot of conversation. So I'm going to now hand over to Saadiq, who will explain a bit more about specific details.
So as part of our Say No to Teva campaign, we've also participating in the apartheid-free zone campaign. I think for many of us, boycotts are actually quite difficult. For every product we buy, every shop we go to, you need to do your own research and make sure that it's safe to go there, and that by spending your money there, your money isn't going to reach Israel. Wouldn't it be a lot easier if you could walk into a shop that told you, we do not support Israel, we do not sell Israeli products here? Or even a whole community where you could just go and know that shopping there was safe, that your money would only go to halal places. So the apartheid-free zone campaign is something that's supported by the Palestinian BDS movement. In some countries overseas, they have entire districts where all shops are part of this campaign. So shopping is a lot easier in those parts of the world. So the point of the campaign is to create spaces of active solidarity, to put up signage, to get the conversation going, but also to make sure that we know where the money is going to. And you can also be a part of this campaign if you're running your own pharmacy, you've got your own practice, you're part of a facility. There's a couple of things obviously to do before you to say that your facility is apartheid free. This information is available on our website at healthcareworkersforpalestine.org.za. But there's a couple of basic points to look through. Where do your products and services come from? Your suppliers, do they support Israel? Do they send money to Israel? Do they obtain purchase products from Israel? The flow of money, so who do you bank with? Who do you invest with? Look at your existing partnerships, but importantly in the last point, intersectionality. So this is not purely about Israel. It's also about other causes in the world, whether it be racism, sexism. Make sure that your companies are not supporting that. So we've earlier this year launched the Apartheid Free Zone campaign in Cape Town, and a number of pharmacies and medical practices around Cape Town have signed up to be part of it. But we'd invite everyone else to join as well. We've also published in the South African Journal of Bioethics and Law, and a link to this article is available on our website, where it describes, gives commentary on the campaign and why it's important that we all participate in it. So how can you join the campaign? Well, the most obvious and basic way is to share information about Palestine, about TIVA, and about the Apartheid Free Zone campaign with your colleagues, patients, and on social media. Avoid prescribing, dispensing, or stocking products produced by TIVA. Obviously, that's a big ask, but our pharmacists have done research and made sure that there are reasonably priced alternatives to all TIVA products available in South Africa, so it is doable. If you are involved with a specific facility, you can join our campaign. Just visit our link to find out some more information. And importantly, CIPLA is importing TIVA products into South Africa, so speak to your rep or email them and ask them to stop, as we have done. Other solidarity actions I'm not going to go into, but just supporting Palestine in general is also important. Our organization is an advocacy group. We basically speak about what's going on in Palestine from a healthcare perspective. We advocate for change there, and I'd invite you to come and speak to us at our desk outside, find out more about the organization, find out more about the Say No to TIVA campaign, as well as the Apartheid Free Zone campaign, and how else you can get involved. So that's our website again, and just some links to various resources in this talk. Thank you for your attention.